If you're ever wondering how to apply your eyeshadow or even what lashes to use if you have hooded eyes, I got you. I'm gonna show you how to apply your eyeshadow and what lashes to use to complete the perfect look for hooded eyes. Let's get into it. All right, guys, let's get started. So this is my beautiful model, Adriana, and I am gonna be showing you guys how to complete an eyeshadow look for hooded eyes and what lashes to use. So the first thing that I am going to do, right now she has on her full face. She has on foundation, concealer, blush, bronzer. She has her eyebrows filled in. So when I do the eyeshadow look, we're gonna combine everything together and you're gonna see the final piece. So I am going to highlight underneath her brow. A lot of people like to use eyeshadow underneath the brow bone. I personally do not. I like it to be really clean and I like it to give my brow a little bit of a lift. So I like to use concealer because it really does the job for me. So I'm using the MAC Studio Finish Concealer in the color NW20. So NW is more, it's a warm undertone. So I personally, as an artist, like to use only warm tones for underneath the eyebrow. Even if they are super golden, I still like to use warm because I find that it looks so much more natural rather than something yellow underneath the brow. So I'm gonna use a small brush like this. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. Small brush just like this from MAC. And this is called the 231 brush. I think, honestly, this is a lip gloss or lipstick brush, but I find that it fits right underneath the brow perfectly. So I just scooped up a little bit on both sides, and I'm gonna use the back of my hand just to make sure that I even out and spread it evenly on my brush. I don't want too much or too little, a good amount. And you're gonna be using the tip of the brush. So, not in the front of her brow, but right in the middle. I am going to trace right underneath her eyebrow. So I like to do this first to get the eyeshadow rolling because everything comes together and I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to start right underneath and I'm tracing literally where I filled it in. Long strokes, not short strokes, so we do not mess up. If you go too far into where the brow pencil or the brow powder is, it can turn gray and it will not look pleasing. So you have to be careful not to go too far up. You just want to go right underneath what you just placed. And then I just drag my brush underneath, just like this. I grab my finger and it just kind of press it in just a little bit to melt it. But that is why I like to do this trick because it gives a natural lift. And when I apply the shadow, I don't have to put shadow underneath there because the concealer does the job for me. So I go one shade lighter than their skin tone. I'm gonna do the other side, midway. And you wanna make sure that you have a good amount on your brush. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in with eyeshadow primer for right on her lid, and I'm gonna be using MAC Painterly Paint Pot, and this is a 6 to 8 hour wear claim. And if you're ever wondering, like, do eyeshadow primers really work? Promise you, they truly do. It helps to prevent any creasing, and it helps the eyeshadow stay on a lot longer. So if you're ever wondering, like, if you're putting on eyeshadow and you're like, where the heck did my eyeshadow go? Because it has nothing to stick to. So you wanna make sure that you use eyeshadow. Some people like to use concealer. I personally love to use eyeshadow primer. So I just scoop some out, put some on the back of my hand for sanitary purposes. If you have one at home, you could dip your brush right into it. I'm using a 242 flat brush from MAC, which looks just like this. I like to use something flat because I find that it picks up better. I can really press it in and have more pigmentation from the shadow rather than using something fluffy. So right now I am just going to apply primer all over her lid. I make sure that this main part is covered. Then whatever is left over, I start lifting upward. And I marry where the concealer is and stop right here because I want this part right underneath to be the highlighter, like I mentioned before, so I do not want to cover up what we just did. And I like to go right into the tear duct, and then I pick up a tiny bit more and I trace right underneath the brow. Right now it looks really perfect underneath the brow and super carved. But the reason why I apply it there is because when we put on shadow right here, we're gonna diffuse this little part and I just want the shadow to stick right there. So that harsh line will be diffused, so do not worry. I'm gonna pick some up on this side and apply it all over the lid. And I actually love using primer because it also removes any discoloration from your lid. So if you have veins, if you just have darker lids than normal, this really helps to kind of give you one even tone. And I'm gonna show you a little trick that you can do if you're ever like running behind or if you're just lazy and don't wanna put on a full eyeshadow look. Okay, now, after we apply eyeshadow primer, I like to set it. And the reason why I like to set it with a little bit of powder is because if I just go directly in right now with eyeshadow, it can sometimes get a little patchy because it's creamy and then I'm going in with powder and it doesn't have one solid base. So I just go in with a fluffy brush, my favorite crease brush. It is beat up to the core because it's 10 years old, but it's so great. This is 224 from MAC, and I'm just using a Charlotte Tilbury press powder. You don't need to go out and buy this. You can literally just use whatever press powder you have at home, and I'm just going to sprinkle some all over the lid, just like this, and make sure that there is a solid base before going in with eyeshadow. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with some eyeshadow. So, like I mentioned before, she has hooded eyes. So when she opens up her eyes, you can't really see her lid. So I'm gonna show you a couple tricks. Okay, so I'm gonna be using this little mini Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. And this is gonna be easy peasy. I'm just gonna use a couple shadows. And I am gonna start off with this color here, which is the second one. And it's kind of like a neutral color. So I'm gonna start off picking some up with my 224 brush. And I always start right at the end, right in here, like right where her lashes will end. I'm gonna stick my brush there and I'm gonna do circular motions. I'm gonna do circular motions just like this. You could even do windshield wipers. But if you're ever wondering like where the heck is my crease, it's always right in here where the bone is, where your eye bone is. That is where your brush will be, right in there. So I always make sure to go all the way around the lid and just diffuse. Blending is the secret, guys. So do not be afraid to blend the mess out of this over and over again. So after I do this, whatever's left over, I start diffusing towards the end here. So then there's no harsh lines. It just looks super seamless. Okay, open up her eye for me. Okay. And then you could see when she opens up her eyes, the color that is there on the crease. Then whatever's left over, I just start going toward the front of the eyebrow. The reason why I love to place it right in front of the eyebrow is because it looks very diffused and it doesn't look super carved. And it just looks like it's gonna blend seamlessly with the nose contour. And we'll make sure to blend that out more. But everything just flows, and that is what you want. So when you are doing your shadow, if you have hooded eyes, you wanna make sure that you go high because that is what's gonna be noticeable when your eyes are open, okay? To cool it off, I even like to apply a little bit of Uninterrupted by MAC. And I like to go over it just a little bit, just to cool it down a tiny bit so it doesn't look super, super warm. And it's kind of like a mixture of both. But the main key to this is making sure that this part, the crease part, is very nicely pigmented and super noticeable because when you have hooded eyes, you can't really see your lid color, okay? So again, I'm gonna do it on the other side. Starting off where her lashes end. Gonna do circular motions. Or windshield wipers, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And I always pick up a little bit as I go. It's easier to add than to remove. So you always want to make sure that you slowly build the crease rather than going in and picking up so much and then you have so much on your lid. Just like so. Okay, open. Gorgeous. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Uninterrupted by MAC, like I showed you guys. Perfect. I'm not really worried about putting anything on the lid because that is where we are going to pick an eyeshadow specifically for the lid. And don't be afraid, guys, to make sure that you drag it all the way down because you don't want any harsh lines. Okay, now, if you don't care for shimmer, you could use a matte color, like a very light matte color, like something like this from like the Mario palette. You could use something really light like this that doesn't have any shimmer, and the lightness of the shadow will really help to open up your eyes if you have hooded eyes. So in this case, Adriana loves shimmer. So I wanted to pick something that was kind of not too dark, but still light enough. So that is why I chose this palette. So I'm gonna use this middle color here, and I'm gonna use a flat brush, the 242 that we used to pick up the primer, and I'm gonna pick some up there and apply it directly onto her lid. So this is gonna be the main focus, the lid here, okay? So I like to put it as close to the lash line as possible without falling all over her lashes. Open. So then when you open up her eye, when she opens up her eye, you could see a little bit there because that's the only pocket that you're gonna see when she opens up her eye. So you wanna make sure that there's a lot of pigmentation there. So I always like to pick something a little bit lighter just to open up the eyes a little bit more. And I'm just doing a patting motion. So after this is done, right, whatever's left over, I start patting going upward, but I'm not really touching the crease color. I don't want it to just be a glob of glitter. Open. Just like so. And you can already see the difference with just a tiny bit of shadow, how it opens up the eye a little bit. And I'm applying a little bit more in the center just to brighten it a little bit more. So I just did a couple layers, okay? And then the same on the other side. Remember, closest to the lash line, then whatever's left over, start lifting upward. Not really going over the crease color. Perfect. Close. And then I'm gonna go over with another layer, just like right in the center. Look up. Okay, so now I am going to apply the same exact color underneath the eyes. Now this will really help to camouflage any fine lines. Wow. To camouflage any fine lines. So this is the best trick. So I'm gonna use a 268. Is this a 268? No, this is a 239. Oh my gosh, these are so old, guys. So I'm trying to read the number out to you. Okay, so 239, and I'm gonna use the exact same color that we used on the crease, and I'm gonna pick some up, and we're gonna drag this right underneath the eye, and this will help to camouflage your fine lines. Look up. Because no matter what concealer you use, you are going to crease. It's just sadly the name of the game. So I like to use this little trick. I start at the very end and go all the way across, right? Then whatever's left over, I just start dragging down even more, going a little bit lower, so then it can camouflage the fine lines. Open. Beautiful. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of the interrupted. So whatever I do on the crease, look up, I'm gonna do underneath. I'm just warming it up, cooling it down. Not warming it up, I'm cooling it down, because this is a cool tone. Open, beautiful. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more, look up. I'm gonna start at the end, because that is where most product will be. And go all the way to the front. Just like this. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of the uninterrupted. Just to cool it down. Okay, great. Now, I am going to add just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of eyeliner right above, just so the lash line can be a little bit more darker and ready to accept the lashes that I'm gonna put on there. So I'm gonna use the Natasha Denona, the big palette here. This is the Glam Palette, and I'm gonna use an angled brush, and I'm gonna use the color Lash Line, and I'm gonna pick some up, and I am going to start just dabbing literally right on the lash line, just like this. So I literally start at the very end. Open. Yep, I literally just start at the very end, and I'm just pressing it gently all the way till I hit the inner corner. Open. Just to give it a little bit of a pop. So as you can see, you could already see the difference between the two. And same on this side. Get it up there. Ooh, I don't know if you could edit out this brush because it's straight up wood now. Open. Okay, perfect. I don't like to go all the way into the tear duct because I don't like it to start bleeding in the inner corner. So I kind of just camouflage it all the way up till it looks like it's all the way in, but it's not. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I am going to use a little bit of eyeliner, black liner actually, from Makeup by Mario. This is in the color Super Black. And I'm just going to soften it on the back of my hand. And I am going to tightline. Okay, this is very important because it makes a huge difference. Normally when you put on mascara or when you put on lashes, you could see the skin right above your waterline. So I like to do this trick because it makes your lashes look fuller and darker. So look down for me. And I'm just going to apply some right here. And it just makes a huge difference. It just makes your lash line look a lot darker. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm gonna go in with a tiny bit of mascara. I love using the Lash Paradise from Loreal. It's amazing. So I'm gonna pick some up. I'm gonna use a wand. So now I'm gonna go in and apply a little bit of mascara. Look down. I like to apply mascara right before I put on falsies because it removes any shadow that may have fallen on the lashes. And I'm just doing a quick little coat, making sure I get all the ones by the tear duct as well. It does not have to be perfect. I'm just literally getting the lashes darker and removing the shadow. If you're ever wondering what lashes to buy if you have hooded eyes, I have the perfect pair for you. The Ardell Naked Lashes 429. These are the jam. So if you look up close, the length is in the center instead of it being towards the end to give you the cat eye. When you have hooded eyes, you need length in the center to really open up your eyes and really give you a pop. So these are the perfect ones for you to try if you are in the market for some good lashes. And if you're ever wondering like what lashes for what eye, you just do this. This one's always to the left. This one's always, wait, hold on. This is the left, this is the right. So just put them against your eye and then you'll know which eye goes. Okay, so I'm gonna take them out slowly and I'm gonna measure them. So the last hair here from the lash will be at the end of her eye. Look down, open, but look down. I'm gonna stick it there and I'm gonna see how far I can take it before it hits. And it's definitely gonna hit her inner corner, so that means that she's gonna wanna scratch her eye out if I leave it like this. So I'm gonna cut off a tiny bit towards the end, and I'm gonna grab some scissors and just chop off a little bit towards the end here. I'm just gonna do, there's always like little sections, if you look up close, there's always like little sections here, and I just take off one, because I already measured her eye. So now that I measured her eye, I already know that one needs to be cut. So I'm gonna grab the other one and cut the exact same, like how I did the first, just like that. You wanna make sure that you ask your client if they are allergic to latex because we do not need eyes bubbling up, okay? So I have already asked her and she's not allergic to latex, so we could use regular Duo, which is my absolute favorite lash glue. This one specifically dries black, and I love that because it gives you a little bit of a cheat code because it makes it look like you have liner on when really you just have on your lash glue. Okay, so I'm gonna apply a little bit of glue, the back of the packaging of the lashes. I'm gonna pick up a little brush. And I'm gonna apply it directly onto the top of the lash band, like this. Don't be afraid to put on a good amount because you do not want them to move. When I apply glue on one, I sit it out and then I apply glue on the other one so the other one can get tacky while I air out this one. Because you want it to get a little tacky, because if you just directly put it onto your eye, it's gonna slide right off and it's gonna be so annoying because it's not gonna stick. So you wanna make sure that it gets a little tacky. Okay, so look down for me. And I'm gonna stick it right at the end. Remember, the last lash on your falsie will connect to the last lash on your natural eye. Look down. I'm gonna stick it there. And then I go over it, make sure that I am not sticking it onto her natural lashes, but I'm going right above it. Making sure it's nice and secure. Hello, yes, honey. Lashes totally make everything just look so much better. And these are really natural too. They're not overbearing. Okay, same on the other side. Look down. Look down. A lot of people use tweezers when applying lashes. I personally use tweezers on myself when I apply lashes, but I can never, turn this way, look down. I can never apply lashes with tweezers on my clients. I just get so nervous. Okay, look at me. Beautiful, look down. Perfect. Now that the lashes are on there, I am going to go in with a white pencil, eyeliner pencil, to really open up the eyes even more. And I am going to use the pencil from MAC called Pure White, which looks just like this. It's a pro product. It is so great, super white, probably the whitest pencil that I have ever found. You're probably like, girl, this girl uses like so much MAC. I worked at MAC for 5 years, so there's a lot of different products that are my staples that I cannot break off of. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this, look up, and I am just going to apply it right on her waterline, just a tiny bit, and this will really help to open up her eyes. People like to use nude, which I love to use nude too as well. It's just a little bit more softer. Look up. I would use nude if you don't really want it to be super, super bright. It will tone down, but I just love the white because it really helps to open up your eye. And now I'm gonna go back in with that smaller brush, the 239 brush with a little bit of Uninterrupted by MAC, look up. And I am just going to go over the shadows and drag it down just a little bit more. Turn this way, look up. Drag it down just a little bit more. And right at the end, where did my brush go? Okay. I'm gonna go in with my crease brush again. And I'm gonna make sure that I connect the bottom and the crease together and make sure that they are blended beautifully and the color is really pigmented so it could really stand out. Turn this way. And this is just a really pretty, quick look for somebody who has hooded eyes. I'm gonna go in with a tiny bit more of the eyeliner, the Lash Line with my angled brush. Look down. And I'm just going to press it in just a little bit more. Just so it can kind of look a little bit more diffused. Look down. And cover up any lash glue. Look down. Just like this. I'm gonna even go an extra step. Look down. And apply a little bit of liquid liner. This is just, I love to use this tip because it helps it to make your lash line look even darker. So I'm gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm using the Sephora Super Black Liquid eyeliner, and I just put some on the back of my hand. And I'm gonna use my angled brush, the same one that I used to apply the powder. Look down. And I am just going to go over the lash line. So I'm not really touching it like on my skin. I just like the lash band to look really dark and really black. So I'm just going over that. Look down. So it can really look clean. Perfect. Look up. So now I'm gonna add a little bit of mascara. Mascara literally makes everything so good and make everything come together. So I'm gonna use these really small spoolie brushes. You could get these from Amazon, Shein. I literally get mine from Shein. They're so great. And I'm just gonna pick up some. Look up for me. And I like these little brushes because it gets into every single lash. Now, if you feel like your mascara always bleeds, they also have a waterproof one. Turn this way, look up. Which is really great too. Okay. Then I'm gonna go in and pop some on the top. Now I grabbed a bigger spoolie and I'm gonna apply some on the top. I always do this because I wanna mix in the natural lashes with the falsies. And I always apply a little bit more in the center, open, so it could really pop out. Look straight. Look down. Okay, look at me. Beautiful. Look up. I didn't mean to scare you.
No, you're fine.
And then I'm gonna add a little bit of a pretty lip just to tie everything together. So we'll be right back. And there you have it, guys. This is how I apply shadow on someone who has hooded eyes. And those are the best lashes for hooded eyes as well. So hopefully this helped, and I will catch you in the next one.